Late Latif's joining in. Okay. Om Sadashivasamarampham Shankaracharya Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Akhandam Sachidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashre Bhishta Siddhe अर्थतोप्यद्वयानन्दान् अधीतद्वैतभानतः गुरूणाराध्य वेदान्त सारं वक्ष्ये यथामति. Okay, so last time we saw 96.
The 103, Swamiji.
What is that?
103.
You saw the gross bodies also? No?
Yeah,
No.
103. We finished.
We are not seeing the gross bodies.
103, Swamiji.
We stopped at the Sukshma Sharira.
No, Swamiji, we did up to 103. Dividing
Yes.
the part,
Panchikaranam.
Panchikaranam.
You did Panchikaranam also?
Yes,
Oh, very good.
98.
Okay, okay,
To 103 you covered.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the Panchikaranam was done. Yeah, good. People are remembering well. At least either they are going over or okay. I think Anusha, you may have to edit that. I had put this thing in that video, you know. So future references.
Yeah,
we have
I'll
to
do
edit.
that.
Yeah.
No, I'll do that.
Okay. Now, okay. Yes, and the qualities of each of the elements also we saw, right? Okay. So now you have the Karna Sharira made out of Maya Avyaktam. You have the Sukshma Sharira made of the Sattvic aspect of individual and total Panchabhutas. You have the prana and everything with the Rajasic aspect. Individual for each organs of action, total for prana, Pancha pranas. Then the tamas aspect. Tamas is the grossest aspect of the Panchamaha Tanmatras undergo the process of Panchikaranam for the sake of grossification to make the physical universe, including my physical body. This is the theory. Up to now, any questions or clarifications, please shoot.
So
Or
this
sister. Yes, Ashish.
Karan Sharira is not very clear.
Karana meaning cause. What is the cause for the whole manifestation?
At one time we said Anandamaya Sharira. Anandamaya is Karan Sharira.
Yes, correct. Anandamaya is Karana Sharira. Karana meaning what?
Cause.
Cause. Cause is what? Maya Shakti. Therefore, Maya Shakti or Avidya is the Karana Sharira. Don't get categorical. You are an academician. Therefore, there is a tendency to get categorical and say, no, Anandamaya is this, Karana Sharira is that. No, it is not. That will be like saying Jalam, Aqua, water are all three different things.
Yeah.
It is not. All right. Any other questions or shall we go ahead? Because these are all simple. That's why I've been going a bit fast. Because just a dialectical theory being presented. Okay.
I mean, just as a point of maybe observation more than anything else,
Yeah.
the fact that the Sthula Akasha is comprised of, you know, a mixture of the Tanmatras, the
Yeah.
tamasic aspect,
Yeah.
would perhaps imply that maybe in a very subtle way, although not perceptible to humans, that Akasha also has got parts in it.
Yes.
The Sthula.
That's also a big debate in science now. No? How does in empty space matter emerge? There's a big debate in science about it. So, even though the theory is dialectical and there is no experimental verification for this theory, it seems to hold water, because nowadays in modern science also you are talking about, space as an entity, not just emptiness, not just as void. In the olden days, olden science, that is 100 plus years ago, they talked about ether. Akasha was presented as ether, where there was actually, they postulated matter in space. That's about 100 years ago they had that in science. Okay. Then they dismissed it and said, no, Akasha is just emptiness, void. Then now you are coming back to an idea that there has to be some sort of presence. Because from nothing, nothing can be created by anything, by anyone. You can say some scriptures talk about it. Yes, what the scriptures talk is beyond logic, I accept that. But it cannot be illogical. Illogical is not beyond logic. Illogical is within logic. So if someone says out of nothing the whole thing came, then that is not logical, because something will come out of something. So you can postulate an entity and say that is beyond logic, fair enough, I'll accept that. Yeah, so there is where the whole thing comes. That's why it had to be, as a Panchikaranam, it had to be presented. Alright. Then he says, Etebhyaha Panchikritebhyaha Bhutebhyaha Bhur Swaha Maha Janaha Tapaha Satyam Iti Etad Namakanam Upari Vidyamananam Atala Vitala Sutala Rasatala Talatala Mahatala Patala Namakanam Adho Vidyamananam Lokanam Brahmandasya Tad Antargata Chaturvida Stula Shariranam Taduchintanam Annapanadinam Cha Utpatti Bhavati. Okay. From these grossified Tanmatras now gained the name Panchabhutas. From them, Panchabhutebhyaha. This whole universe has come into existence. What do you mean by whole universe? 14 dimensions. With Earth as the base, you talk about 14 dimensions. Okay? Now the higher dimensions are being mentioned. Bhuhu, Earth. Bhuaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. 7 up. Okay? These are higher dimensions. When he says existing one above the other, understand it as higher dimensions, not one above the other in space. Okay. Higher dimensions of existence. And 7 lower dimensions of existence called Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala. 7 lower dimensions. Higher dimensions, more enjoyable. Great break. Lower dimensions, more painful. This is what all religions present as earth, heaven and hell. All religions present it. There is an earth, there is a heaven, there is a hell. Our model is a little bit more sophisticated because we have gradations. Okay. Earth is Mishra, mixture of pleasure and pain. Kabhi kushi, kabhi gam. That is earth. Okay. Yeah. Things are fine. Morning you got everything going well. By evening you have a backache. Some papa karma coming up. Day went fine. Good. then each higher dimensions you have greater degrees of experiential joy. And lower dimensions have greater degree of experiential pain, sorrow. If you want descriptions of this, go read some Puranas, okay? Because how am I going to describe 14 dimensions? The seventh dimension to a three-dimensional figure. The third dimension is taken as one. So, not possible, okay? Puranas, you will have some descriptions. If you ever go there, you will find it's not exactly the same, as I always said before. Okay, yeah. And not only that, what about the bodies of the people who are present there? There has to have some sort of matter, no? Maybe very subtle, refined matter, but there has to be. Otherwise, how will you differentiate one from the other? It cannot be only mind, because then mind will get entangled and you will have a problem. The mind should have a boundary, a limitation. That's why sometimes in relationship we don't put boundaries, mental boundaries, and therefore it becomes problems in relationships. Yeah. So, since the boundary is necessary, there has to be some sort of form. That form, body, in that dimension. Made of what? Panchikrita Tanmatras, Panchamahabhutas. And in all of them there has to be experiences. Annapanadi, food and drink. Appropriate to those dimensions. So, that is also made by what? Panchamahabhutani. So, in each dimension, the gross experiences that you will go through in those dimensions. Because remember, okay, just for the sake of understanding, let us say you go to a higher dimension, let us for the convenience sake call it heaven, Swarga. Okay, let's call it like that. There also, there has to be a physical experience and an emotional response. Otherwise, you don't know whether you are awake or dreaming. In heaven, you won't know whether you are awake or dreaming unless there is this physical, mental, outside, inside. In no dimension, you exist as an infinite entity. In no dimension, you are existing as an infinite entity. You are existing as a finite entity only. So, if you are a finite entity, there has to be a boundary for you. There has to be a boundary. That boundary is what we are calling as body in that dimension. Therefore, what is there in that boundary is within that is what is inside and outside you will have. So, inside, outside will be there in all the dimensions. Defined differently maybe. Established differently, but all this has to be there. Otherwise, there will be no experiences. You won't know whether you are dreaming or awake or what. As it is, there is a problem. Okay. Therefore, Chaturvida Sharira Anitu. Now, he is talking about now this physical dimension. Bhuhu. Earth, because we are all here. Therefore, let us talk about here. Chaturvida Sharirani tu Jarayuja, Andaja, Shvedaja, Udvijyakyani. 4 types of bodies available on earth. What is that? He says that which is Jarayujam. He himself explains what it is. So let us go into that. This is for me translating here and then coming again to the another verse where the same thing is repeated. Okay? Jarayujani, Jarayubhyo Jatani, Manushya Pashwadini. What do you mean by Jarayujani? He says, Jarayubhyaha jatani. That which is born from another body. Like mammals. Human beings, all mammals are born from another body. There is a mother figure. From the mother's womb, you are born. From one body, another body. Therefore, from the mother's jara, you are born. Therefore, jara yujani. That is true for all mammals. Or mammals. Okay, not only human beings. Pashwadini, a cow, cattle, camel, elephant. All of them are born from another body. Therefore, they are called Jarayujani. Alright. Then, Andajani. What is that? Andajani, Andebhya Jatyani, Pakshi, Pannagani. Others are what? Andajani. That which is born of an anda, an egg. Birds, reptiles, etc. Birds, reptiles, including dinosaurs, etc. They are born out of eggs. Therefore, Andajani. Okay. They have to be hatched outside. Then Shvedajani, Svedebhya Jatani, Yuka Mashakadani. That which is born out of moisture, like Yuka Mashakadani, lice, mosquitoes, etc. There also there is some sort of Andaja, but there you can put moss, etc. into this category. Born with, because there is moisture present. And Udbijjani, Bhumim Udbidya Jatani, Lata Vrikshakadani. Udbijjani means what? That which splits the earth and comes out. There is a seed involved, but it splits the earth and comes out. All plant life. Okay. So, 4 types of bodies available on earth. Any of the bodies you talk about, virus, etc. will be from this Shvedajani, etc. Okay, yeah. All of them will be born. Okay. Now, here also, Atrapi Chaturvida Sakala Stula Shariram Eka Aneka Buddhi Vishayataya Vanavad Jalashayavad Va Samashti Vriksha Va Jalavad Va Veshtirapi Bhavati. Therefore, all these can also be looked upon from the standpoint of individual and total. Like tree and forest, the same example is consistently maintaining. One body, one tree. Entire body is forest. One body, one unit of water. Entire body is lake. Collective, individual and collective. Okay. एतत् समष्टि उपहितं चैतन्य वैश्वानरः विराट् इति उच्यते सर्व नर अभिमानित्वाद् द्विविधं राजमानत्वाच्च. So when you are looking at it collectively, samashti, from the standpoint of the total, samashti upahitam chaitanyam now. Now the conscious, because wherever there is anything, any form, consciousness has to be manifest. Remember, all forms are in the mithya world. 14 dimensions are the mithya world. And in that mithya world, you cannot have mithya without satyam being present. Therefore, consciousness is present. Therefore, consciousness manifests in the total physical bodies is called Vaishwanaraha. Why Vaishwanaraha? Samashti Stula Sharira Abhimani. He says, all this is mine, my body. Vaishwanaraha. Also called Virat, Vividam Rajamanatvad. It is manifest in a manifold manner. Not just as one thing. We are not carbon copies of each other, thank God. Even physically we are not carbon copies. We share certain common DNA. That also each DNA is separate. Therefore, Vividam Rajamanatvad, since they are all manifest in diverse manners, Vivida Rajamanatvad. Okay. अस्येषा समष्टिः स्थूल शरीर मात्र विकारत्वाद् अन्नमय कोशः स्थूल भोगायतनत्वाच्च स्थूल शरीरं जागृत इति व्यपदेशते. अस्या समष्टिः, समष्टि व्यष्टि both is applied. Okay. स्थूल शरीरम is called gross body. Annamaya koshaha. Why? Because the body is a product of the food that you have eaten. Therefore, maya is used in the sense of vikara. When you say annamaya kosha, is not that food is sticking all over. It is the food has been modified into bones and flesh and everything. Na? Therefore, annamaya vikara. Therefore, annamaya kosha iti. Stula bhoga ayatanam. It is an ayatanam, an instrument, a counter for what? Experiencing the Stula Sharira. You identify with the person within, I. Then I have to experience the outside world. For that, the counter of experience is what? The body. Pleasure, pain, etc. is in your mind. I'm happy, unhappy, etc. It's a great experience. All that is mental. Ayatanam, the counter for that experience is the physical body. Okay. Bhoga ayatanam. Jagraditi vyapadeshate. That which is which you identify with in the waking state. Therefore, jagrataha, waking. Now look at it. In the Annamaya Koshaha, consciousness is manifest or not manifest? In you, your body, consciousness is manifest. Where is it manifest? In the body, where is consciousness manifest? All over, exactly. It is all over. So the 14 dimensions are called Virat. It is the body of Ishvara. Where is consciousness manifest? All over. The entire cosmos. The entire cosmos, consciousness is manifest. In some places only Satyam, in some places as sentiency also. Some places only as existence, some places sentiency also. That is it. Yeah. Etad vyashti upihitam chaitanyam. Now, he is adding something for the individual. Vyashti. Samashti is total, vyashti is individual. Vyashti upihitam chaitanyam. Vishwaha iti uchyate is called Vishwaha. Sula Sharira Abhimanam Parityajya. Sukshma Sharira Abhimanam Parityajya. Sula Sharira Adi Pravishtatva. He doesn't limit himself to the Sukshma Shariram. Giving up the limited identity of Sukshma Sharira, he extends it to the body as well. In dream, you are only identified with the Sukshma Sharira. When you wake up, you are identified with the physical as well. Okay. Therefore, Stula Pravishtatva. Asyapi esham vyashtihi Sula Shariram Anna Vikaratvad Hetoho Annamaya Kosha Jagrati Tishyate. So the same terms are used for the Vyashti, the individual also. What is that? Stula Shariram, Annamaya Kosham, etc. Okay. Jagratiti, waking, the one that you identify with waking. Whatever is applied, what is he trying to show in this? Whatever is applied to the individual is applied to the total. Whatever is applied to the total is applied to the individual also. So even at that level, there is a one-to-one relationship. In fact, there is no relationship except part and whole. In a way, it's an identity. You cannot really say part and whole also. You can say part and whole because you can walk around with your body, that's all. Just because you can walk around in your body, you are saying I can say I'm part of Ishvara. Really? You know how many ships navigate, how many millions of ships navigate safely through your blood vessels? WBC, RBC, and there are also 5 varieties of WBC. All of them navigate very finely through your blood vessels. Do each of them think they are separate entities? As it is, you have a problem of integration. If each one of them thought they were separate, you have had it. Every organ in you have a separate function. Interrelated, but separate function. Does that mean they are one? They are independent? Or part of you? You make the whole, no? Same way. I am independent. Malum hai kitna independent. Yeah. That's all the independence, okay? Yeah. Okay, then what? Tadanim Eto Vishwa Vaishwanaro Dikvartaka Varna Ashwabhi Krama Niyantritena Shotradi Indriya Panchakena Krama Shabda Sparsharupa Rasagandhani Indropendriya Yama Prajapati Bihi Krama Niyantritvena Vag Adi Indriya Panchakatvena Krama Dvachana Gamana Vishwa Sarga Andra Chandra Okay Chaturmukha Adi Krama Niyantritvena Mana Buddhi Ahankara Chitta Akhyena Indriya Chatushkena Krama Sankalpa Nishya Ahankara Chatur Jagrastha. Okay, all right. Now here, then one line sentence, okay? The paragraph, it forms a paragraph. What is it saying? Okay? Both Vishwa and Vaishwanara. Okay? At that time meaning waking state. When the creation is on, what does it do? What does it do? Before you do, you have to know. Therefore, you perceive. What is it that you perceive? Gross objects. Gross objects are perceived in a fivefold manner. What is the fivefold manner? Sound, touch, color, taste, smell. Through the 5 sense organs, ear, etc. So, from you experience the world in a fivefold manner through your 5 sense organs. And each of the 5 sense organs now has a devata. Why? Now, remember, consciousness manifesting the totality is Ishvara. This is the idea of Ishvara and devata. This has to be clear in mind. Okay? One Ishvara manifests in the entire cosmos. One. Now you can look at that Ishvara through one given angle, limited angle. When you look at that Ishvara through a limited angle, you will get a Devata. The same Ishvara is looked upon in a limited manner as a Devata. We are not talking about a pantheon of gods. Nor is Advaita to be mistaken as monotheism. This is an important part, okay? Not just descriptive. Monotheism talks about one God. All the Occidental religions are monotheistic, one God. But that one God is sitting in a place, he is different from me. In fact, to think that I and God are same is considered blasphemy in all the Occidental religions. That is called monotheism in a nutshell. In a nutshell. Ancient Roman and Greek civilization were pantheism, where they considered there were many gods and one God big boss about all of them. Jehovah, Zeus, etc. So, the Greco-Roman god, they were all pantheistic. Okay. Now, we are neither. We don't say there is one God, we say there is only God. It's a huge difference between saying one God and only God. Why? For us, everyone is a manifestation of Ishvara. Therefore, nothing is separate from Ishvara. Even at the level of Ishvara, I am talking, okay? There is nothing separate from Ishvara. This is Advaitam. It is neither pantheistic nor monotheistic. But at the same time, looking at the need of individual worship and individual private relationship, you invoke Ishvara from various angles. So they will become devatas. Are you all getting it, or are there any doubts on this? The Ishvara you worship in a temple generally is a devata, because he is invoked under certain particular conditions. Okay. Therefore, the devata becomes an entity. In fact, according to the Indian legal system, valid even now, in spite of our secular and whatever thinking that has come into it, the deity is an entity that holds the temple property. The temple property belongs to a deity. Anyone into law will understand this very well. Martin Kavita and all will understand this very well. Because the legal entity is a deity. But the deity doesn't communicate. Therefore, the Mela Shanti, the main priest who is looking after the deity, the worship, etc., he becomes a spokesperson for the deity. Now, supposing there is a question of worship coming up, this can be done, that cannot be done, etc. How do you check it out? Ask the deity will decide. You come to my house and say, how do you want the furniture? Who decides? I decide, no? Not you. You can make your suggestions. But final call is mine. Correct? All of us have this right, no? I am not bothered, therefore I will say, anyone wants to say, aisa rakhne ka rakh do, aisa rakh do. Doesn't matter to me. But the person is, therefore deity has to decide. So how do you know how the deity will decide? Kaisa pata karega? These are all accepted practices, even the courts have accepted this, okay? We will do what is known as an Ashtamangalya Prashnam. If you have gone to an astrologer, especially South Indian astrologer, you will find them taking the shells and doing something. Rotating those shells, seashells, taking a bunch of it and saying, this is it, this is it, this is it. Similarly, you will have an elaborate process with 8 scholarly astrologers sitting down and having an Ashtamangalya Prashna to know what exactly the deity wants. This is how things are decided. To know the mind of the deity. Okay. I am digressing slightly here. At the same time, The idea was Devata. Now, I have the power of hearing. Therefore, there is a total power of hearing that belongs to Ishvara. Now, supposing I look at Ishvara only through the power of hearing, that Ishvara becomes a deity. It is called Dig Devata. It is called Dig Devata, the Devata of the directions. Sound. If I look upon it only as touch, my skin, total cosmic, totality of all skin, the power of touch all over, and consciousness manifests in the total power of touch, he will become Vayu Devata. Similarly, Surya Devata, Varuna Devata for taste, water, Ashwini, nose. They are all Devatas now. Okay. And they also perform all actions, etc. And since actions, etc. are performed, then you have Devatas for them also. Hands will become Indra, the grasping power. Feet will become Vishnu. Yamaha will become your excretion, clearing agent. Prajapati, creative functions. Then your mind functions. Mano buddhi chittam ahankaram. Okay. The moon will be the presiding deity of the mind. Chittam will become Brahmaji. Okay. Chittam, Ahankaram Shiva. Memory will become Vishnu. Like this will goes on. Now, if you want this, who's there from the Thursday class here? Kamini is here. Kamini Asrani. Can you just, Kamini, you remember Punjabication had sent you a chart of all these devatas, etc.
Yes.
Okay, if you have it,
Yeah.
okay, all those who want a copy of that chart showing devatas, 5 organs, etc., all this in as a chart format, put up your email address on the group and Kamini will send it to you. Okay, Kamini?
Yeah. Amiji, let me look for it. I'll put it on the group when I find it.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, put it on the group. You'll have to put it as a link or something.
Yeah. First let me find the papers.
Okay,
because
if
they
you
are
can't
like-
find it, I'll ask Punjabication to send it.
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you know. I'll
Yeah.
let you know.
Let me know.
Yeah.
So that all of you can get it in a chart format. So it'll be easier to remember. Okay? Yeah. Now I don't know how the chart format can be put up on the YouTube. I don't think I will do that. Those who are seeing it on the YouTube might as thoda kasht karne do. All right. But are you all getting the hang of it? Okay. Now you are looking at, apart from Ishvara, which is made up of Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara, manifest through only Maya Shakti. Ishvara manifests through Maya Shakti and mind, etc. Hiranyagarbha manifests through Maya, mind and physical body, Virat, Vishwarupa. Apart from all that, now you are looking at them, at Ishvara as Devatas. Dig Devata, Surya Devata, eyes. Ashwina Kumaraha. So Devatas have other functions besides this also. Like Ashwini Kumaras, for example, are invoked for healing also. You invoke Ishvara as a Devata for healing. What is a Devata? Anyone who knows here? Connected with Akshay Tritiya. Connected with Dhanteras in Diwali. Dhanvantri, exactly.
Dhanvantri is okay.
Yeah, Dhanvantri. Okay. Dhanvantri is now a Devata. Connected with healing. Now, why is this important? Yes, you pray direct to Ishvara, everything is taken care of. But I have a specific issue and I need a solution for that. Now, even Ishvara, if you can relate directly to Jagat Karanam Brahman, the Ishvara, the cosmic order, fine. Remember that camp, last camp, 6th level of understanding God? Ishvara is the cosmic order. No problems. Everyone would like to relate to Ishvara at that level, but how many of you can? Because if you are relating to Ishvara at that level, everything should be in harmony in your life. अरे डायबिटीज आ गया, बी इन हार्मनी विद डायबिटीज. या बी इन हार्मनी. स्वीट्स नहीं खा सकते हैं, करेक्ट, बी इन हार्मनी. समझिए, आई कांट ईट स्वीट्स फॉर दिवाली, ये क्या है ये? बी इन हार्मनी है ना. ईश्वर's ऑर्डर, फाइन, बी इन हार्मनी. बहुत स्वीट्स खाया, बस करो. वी कांट. Therefore, you look for some healing, etc. That's a specific issue. Now you will have to invoke Ishvara for that specific issue. Dhanvantri mantra kar lo thoda. Your diabetes will be better controlled. You may not get a cure. Why not? Why will you not get it? Why you, in spite of invoking Ishvara, you will not get a total cure? You may get, you may not get. Why? Karma, yes, because some of it you are supposed to undergo. If the karma is stronger than the worship that you are doing now, that karma will prevail. If your worship is stronger than the karma that you have, your worship will prevail. We don't look upon these as miracles, we look upon this as Ishvara's order. There is no miracle in Hinduism. What do you mean miracle? There is no miracle. It's all part of Ishvara's order. Because you don't understand it, you are calling it miracle. Because you don't understand what are the forces in operation there, you are calling it miracle. That's a huge difference in Hinduism. We don't look for miracles for a sign of Ishvara. The very presence of the whole thing is the sign of Ishvara. Big difference. Otherwise, you will fall for every magic trick. I will produce some ashes and give it to you, it becomes, oh, miracle. Yeah. Somebody produced ashes and gave it to P.C. Sarkar, the magician. He waved his hand and gave vibhuti to P.C. Sarkar. He accepted it gracefully. Then he said, Maharaji, I have something to give you. What is that? He waved his hand and gave a gulab jamun. Take. I am a better magician. Yeah, I am dealing with someone. Swamiji, you are a great healer. I said, no, I am not. I am not into healing. But Swamiji, I came to you with such a backache, etc. and you just patted me on the back and my backache disappeared. I said, God's grace. No, you are a healer. Kuch nahi hai. If you want, but I know if you want, I can make the backache come back. That I can do. One harder whack will take care of that. I am not a healer. Okay, Vijayalakshmi, take care. Yeah. So, these type of things will come. We don't look for miracles to prove Ishvara. Ishvara is proved independent of the miracles by the pramana called the Veda. It's important to understand this. That's why there is no body in Hinduism to confer sainthood on somebody. Sainthood is someone is called a saint because the public looks upon that person as a saint. Who is a saintly person? One who has total compassion. May not have this Atmajnana, doesn't matter. Total compassion can help anyone, irrespective of religion, creed, this thing, etc., race, creed, etc. That person is saintly. So, there is no sainthood given, etc. In the Hindu tradition. But Swamiji Sai Baba is considered a saint? Yeah, some people consider. Those who consider take him as a saint. Those who don't take him as a saint. It's okay. But in Hinduism also we pray to saints like Sai Baba. Ishvara can be invoked in any form. You can invoke him as Sai Baba, you can invoke him as Gol Baba also. No, don't ask me who is Gol Baba. Okay? Invoke Ishvara in any form. Na ki parak painda hai. Is Ishvara. Invoke him in any form. Doesn't make a difference. Can you relate to that? Yes. Fine. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Therefore, the idea of the Devata came up because of specifics. Your specific need. Too many problems in my life. Vigneshwara. Like the other day, I have a very funny case. This character is getting injured all the time. All the time is getting injured. Every year, some surgery or the other. ये कहाँ से पकड़ लिया? This cannot be. I mean, the law of statistics, this is impossible that everyone has to go through a surgery, that someone has to go through a surgery every other year. How is that possible? There's something seriously wrong there. And it is not that the person has got some osteoporosis or something, that brittle bones are breaking. No. Hatta-kata aadmi. When we looked into his karmic patterns, and we got a revelation. Mars is in a problem situation for him. Mars is a lord of war. Mangal. Therefore injuries. Past karma. He must have injured a lot of people. Therefore the lord of Mars, you will invoke him as Subramanya Kartikeya. Because Kartikeya is the Senani, the general of Indra's army, etc. Therefore, you invoke Ishvara as Subramanya, as Kartikeya. Or Kartik is called after Kartikeya. Therefore, you invoke him as Kartikeya and worship. And then you will find the problems slowly going down. Individual, okay? Why not worship directly Ishvara? You can. You can. Specific is faster. You invoke Shiva. You invoke Ishvara. Worship. No problems. But if you have a specific problem, it's better to do specific worship. You build up your immunity strong, you will be free from all viruses. Correct? But Covishield, Covaxin, etc. is meant for specific. Right now, it is healthy to take a specific vaccine. Why? The problem is specific, na? My immunity is high. Yes, it is high. It is good. No problems. But this is a specific problem coming in. Therefore, even though you are building up your immunity, etc., build up a little bit extra specifically for a specific problem. That's the logic behind it. That's the logic. Therefore, what form you like to invoke Ishvara is your Ishta Devata. That's the form you can relate to. Swamiji, for me, cosmic order. Can you relate to? That means you will be harmony with everything that happens in your life. Without making excuses, without saying God's grace, without saying God is testing me, things like that. Just be in harmony. Then you are invoking Ishvara as the cosmic order. Fine. But even if you have great immunity, strong, etc., once in a way you can fall ill. No? And if you fall ill, do you take medication or you don't take medication? You will say, my immunity will overcome it. Swamiji, I don't believe in allopathy. Okay, what do you believe in? Ayurveda? Fine, take it. Homeopathy? Fine, take it. Naturopathy? Go fast yourself. Naturopathy, what is the treatment? Fasting only. Do something so that you are helped with it. Why are you suffering unnecessarily? So that is how the idea of devatas etc. came in. Okay? It is not mutually exclusive. You know, the sixth level of understanding God, God is not a jealous God who says you shall not worship anybody else. That is, we are projecting our jealousy on Ishvara. Because human beings are jealous. And we are projecting our jealousy on Ishvara and saying, you should not worship anything else. And we are attributing that statement to Ishvara. If Ishvara is infinite, do you think he really bothers? You shall not keep a false God in front of me. What false God? You are invoking you only. What is this idea of false God? These gods are false. Who decided? Who decided? Who decides what is false? Just because your clergy said that. Break all idols. Who are you to decide to come into my house and break my idol? You don't want to worship? Don't worship. No. You want to worship a direction, we can include you into us. Dik Devata, no problems. You can't include the other way around, that is your problem. That's your problem, not mine. Unless you may try to make it my problem, then I'll have to do what is necessary to take care of myself. That's not fanaticism, that is just self-preservation. And that is not separate Hindutva, separate from Hinduism. It's all the same. Some idiot said that. I have read all the scriptures. There is no call for violence. Gita pada kya? To defend yourself, to defend dharma, violence is part of the game. The Bible also says that. Time for war, time for peace. So what's your problem? Politics. That's your problem. Yeah. Politics is your problem, nothing else. Anyway, in fact, he has written a book like that, idiot. Okay. So this is much. Any questions on this, or shall we go ahead? Clear up to now? The detailing chart, we will see how to. I'll see how to reach it to you all. Okay. Yeah. If Kamini doesn't have it, I will get it from Punjabication. He was the person who made that whole list. I have also had that list somewhere. Then I don't bother about that chart anymore. Okay. For me, the chart exists here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, then he says, Atrapi anayoho sula vyashti samashta sula vyashti samashtiyoho tad upahita vishwa vaishwanarayoho sha वनवृक्षवत् तद अविच्छिन्न आकाशवत् च जलाशय जलवत् तद्गत प्रतिबिंबित आकाशात् च पूर्ववत् अभेदः. Hey, you know, one thing I like about this text is he doesn't leave anything unsaid. You know, he says it, he mentions it. That intellectual discipline is not taken for granted. He says it. Okay. Atra, here also, Like in the previous cases, here also, Sthula Veshti Samashtiyoho, between the gross individual and total, Tad Upeta Chaitanyam, the consciousness that is manifest in the individual and the totality, which is called Vishwa and Vaishwanaraha. Vishwa the individual, Vaishwanaraha the totality. Like how between the tree and the forest there is an abheda, the part and whole relationship. Similarly, between one unit of water and the lake there is a abheda, unity there. Similarly, here also there is a unity, abheda. Abheda. The Chaitanyam is the same. When you look at the Upadhi, you will say part and whole. One body, total bodies, you will say part and whole. One tree, forest, you will say part and whole. When you look at the consciousness, there is no part and whole, there is only abheda. Consciousness manifests in the individual or the consciousness manifests in the totality is the same. The same consciousness is manifest. There is no difference. Part and whole is Upadhi level. Therefore, now you know if the different schools of him that will come in the next chapter, but even here itself, okay, we can easily understand where different schools of philosophies come from. What is their standpoint? If you say duality, you are looking at it purely experientially from the experience of your difference that you have. That I am independent, I can walk away. If you are saying part and whole, you are looking at individual total. And if you are saying Advaitam, Abheda, you are looking at it from the standpoint of the real, the consciousness. So now decide where you want to fit yourself in. The 6 now reduced to 3. The 6 reduced to 3. Okay. Connection is unstable, but it is still working. So we will keep it going. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Then he goes further to show the limit of superimposition. Okay. एतेषां स्थूल सूक्ष्म करण प्रपंचानामपि समष्टिः एका महान् प्रपंचः भवति यथा वान्तर Okay, I think now all of you can see me. Okay, all of you can see and hear me now? Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, with that let us go ahead. Now he says, स्थूल सूक्ष्म कर्ण प्रपंचानामपि समष्टिः एकः महान् प्रपंचः भवति यथा वा यथवा अंतर वनानां समष्टिः एका महद्वनं भवति यथा वा अवांतर जलाशयानां समष्टिः एका महान् जलाशयः भवति. Okay, he is saying now look at it, that how one tree and one forest, look at it connectively as multiple forests are there. The whole area becomes a forest area. The whole area becomes a lake district. It becomes an ocean. Similarly, he says, this samashti veshti individual, look at it from the standpoint of the whole cosmos. Look at it from the standpoint of the whole cosmos and see how it is now. When you say Virat, it is not just individual or the consciousness manifests in all the human bodies that we know, not only all the animal bodies that we know, but the whole 14 dimensions. This is what Virat is. Consciousness manifests in 14 dimensions. This is called Ishvara's body, Vishwarupaha. What Arjuna saw. That's why the descriptions are something. He talks about things which you don't know what it is. Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Saragas, Nagas. Nagas, we take a serpent. It is not serpent. They are a separate state of being. The serpent is used to indicate the Naga. Hayagriva was a rishi with a horse's head. Some of the Egyptian statues are made like that. What is the connection? You have to figure out something. So, one physical entire thing. Similarly, Sukshma Sharira, we are talking only mind, but we are talking about the entire subtle creation that is there. Prana, not just your prana, the cosmic prana across the whole universe, the whole total energy that's available. Mind, not just your mind, the total, knowledge, not just your knowledge, knowledge of everything that is there. Everything that will be there, everything that was there, past, present, future. Totality. And the consciousness manifest in all this. Ishvara. Now you understand what Ishvara is. Body stretches across 14 dimensions. Whole of space. Space is within Ishvara, not outside Ishvara. Ishvara is not in space. He is not located in Timbuktu. Space is located in him. Mind, total mind. Total mind, the whole subtle creation, whatever is there. Knowledge, all knowledge. Consciousness manifest in all that. My ignorance, total Maya Shakti. Total Maya Shakti. So the whole thing makes it. Consciousness manifests in all this. Mind-boggling. If you really try to see, it is mind-boggling. And I want you all to see how mind-boggling it is. You have to look into it yourself. how limited our knowledge is, and appreciate the possibility of the world. All that you know and don't know is there in Ishvara. What we know is piddly little, what we don't know is huge. This is Ishvara, the cosmic form. When you appreciate that, your devotion is nothing but surrender. At the individual level, I'm talking. Isn't that what it is? And that surrender puts you in harmony with Ishvara. This is very different from the surrender that you talk about in a temple. This is surrender of understanding. Otherwise, you can say, I'll surrender to the will of God, etc. That's a small beginning. That's good. It's a small beginning. It's a nursery step, a kindergarten step. Now, within this cosmic thing, see what it means to be nimitta matram bhava savyasacham. Be an instrument in my hands. How uplifting that can be. But can I really be a nimitta for Ishvara? That's why we have stories highlighting the importance of even a small effort. It's a folk tale, but a very interesting tale. When the Rama Setu was being built, the bridge to Sri Lanka was being built, Hanuman, Nala, Sugriva, etc., huge boulders were tossed into the water. Huge boulders, goes in. Like a football, how you do, and I will throw a football. They were throwing boulders weighing tons into it. And there is a small little squirrel there. Said, I also want to help Rama. मैं क्या करूं? He said, but these rocks are this now. You need sand in between them to keep the rocks in place. And how will I transport sand there? So he went and had a dip in the ocean, came out, rolled in the sand. Then he went back and had a dip where the bridge was being built. Risking his life because boulders are being tossed in, okay? And Rama sees that. He says, wow, what devotion does the squirrel have? And the story goes that he picked up and patted the squirrel on his back. That's how the squirrel got his 3 stripes. It's a pure folk tale, okay? It is not there in Valmiki or anything. But it's highlighting the importance of nimitta matram bhava. Ishvara doesn't need you or me. But our surrender, our this, uplifts us. Therefore, the devotion manifests itself as surrender. And later on in being in harmony with the whole thing. Okay. Go read Arjuna's response in the Gita when he saw the Vishwarupa Darshana. It's put up, last class, it's not yet put up, it will be public soon. Okay, I have to upload it. Saturday, Sunday are bad days for uploading because the Wi-Fi is overcrowded. The networks are overloaded on Saturday, Sunday. So Monday I'll upload it. And by Tuesday, Wednesday, Anusha will make it public. Therefore, etad upayetam Vaishvanaradis Ishvara Paryantam Chaitanyam api same way. So the consciousness also, you can look at it, consciousness manifests in the totality. That I already explained in my, what I said I already explained it. It's a totality that is looked upon. Now he makes a very, very interesting proposition, statement, which he will explain further towards the end of in the last but one chapter. Abhyam Mahaprapancha Upahita Chaitanyabhyam Tatparyaha Pindavat Aviviktam तप्ताय पिंडवत् अविविक्तं सद अनुभूपितं चैतन्यं सर्वं कल्विदं ब्रह्म इति महावाक्यस्य वाच्यं भवति विविक्तं सल्लक्ष्यमपि भवति. Like how you say, okay, a ball of fire, you will understand that there is a separate ball of fire is taken as direct meaning. So in the Mahavakya, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman, all this is Brahman. You are taking it as Vachyam, word meaning, direct meaning. Red hot, this iron, there is a fireball. Viviktam Sat, if you use your Viveka and use Lakshana Vakyas, then you will understand what is iron part of it, the iron that is dropped into it, what is the fire part of it. Similarly, when you say everything is Brahman, you understand Ishvara, everything is Brahman. And you are a small little part, like the squirrel with Ishvara. But if you look at the implied meaning of that statement, you will understand you are the consciousness behind the whole thing. So the aim on Vedanta is not only to understand Ishvara, but to understand the consciousness that is there, that is the real Swarupa of Ishvara. The Swarupa of Ishvara. We don't stop with the manifestation of Ishvara. We don't stop. We stop only when we understood the true nature of Ishvara. And in understanding the true nature of Ishvara, you have to understand it as yourself also. Isha Darshanam Atma Rupata. Isha Jivayo Vesha Dibida Vesha Hanata Vastu Kevalam. Between Isha and the Jiva, what is the difference? The Vesha, the dress that you are wearing. The dress of finitude is worn by the Jiva. Ishvara's dress is the whole universe. Vesha Hanataha. Freed from the Vesha, free from the dress. Vastu Kevalam, there is only one reality, the consciousness. This is what the real understanding of Vedanta is here. Everything else is background setup, so you can understand it. Up to now, we are only seeing the background. But this background is important because from here, we take off to understanding consciousness. Before you understand the limitlessness, you have to understand how limited or how unlimited your limited experiences are. When we say world, what do we generally mean? What we experience, isn't it? Do you really experience what is happening in Antarctica? Only when you see it on the TV. Oh, okay. Otherwise, what do you experience? Do you experience a black hole? You have some indirect knowledge because some people have written about the black hole. You can't experience it anyway, you'll be crushed. So, this little bit that I experience is called world. Here in this book, he is trying to give you an understanding, an idea of what, when you say world, what does it mean? Universe becomes a multiverse. Universe becomes a multiverse. This is it. And I have to understand that this whole thing is based on what? On the consciousness which is non-different from me. That means I am the basis for the whole thing. Wow. Can it possibly be true? It is true. If the Vedanta says it is true, it has to be validated by each one of us. Each one has to validate it. Pramana is the Veda, yes. It has to happen here. The Pramana should work here, only then it is true. But before that can work, and we go into that, we are looking at some special cases of superimposition. This is general, this is common, that everyone experiences. I mean, the extent to what everyone can experience. So if there is someone in another dimension, this is what you are experiencing. He covers it multi-dimensional. This is it. Then there are some special cases. Schools of thought. People who have thought about it, speculated about it, and come to some conclusions, which are generally erroneous. How erroneous, why erroneous, etc., we still have to see. That we will see. But that we will go in. That he says, he ends up by saying, Isti iti vastu avastu roho adhyaropaha samanena pradarshati. This adhyaropa, this adhyasa, I have talked in general. Then he will talk about some specific. Your job will have to be to look at what is my aropa on it. Okay. What is my special adhyaropa? Each one of us will have some special adhyaropa also. All that special adhyaropa we will see next time. It's a good place to stop. If there are any, think about it. If there are any questions, come back next time and try to get that global view, the multiverse view of Ishvara in your mind. Doesn't matter if you feel miserable and finite. They'll put you more on the path of moksha. Or if you can find some sort of harmony, great. They'll also put you on the path of moksha. Both ways, it will be there. So can we call it a day today?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Take care. Have a great time.